we broke the ice and we posted our first YouTube video. And I think it's easier now to just start talking. And
I feel like the hardest one is the first one because you're like, what am I gonna post first?
yes.
And now after the first, I feel like whatever you post second, third, or 100th time comes to the same thing, right?
Definitely. And I really love the feedback. There are so many people who sent us the message, and it's so interesting that you never know who is on the other side and who are you touching by your words and who is finding that content valuable. So I'm so happy when people talk to us and write to us about it, just to then it strikes me like, oh my god, someone is really watching this and someone is really liking it or finding some words that are meaningful to them.
I come from the state of mind where I'm thinking about myself when I just started out or when I was struggling, or maybe, like 5-7 years in the career, where I would crave for someone from the top of the industry, someone who has seen it all, to share these little tiny details and insights on how they made it and what were the pivotal points in their career, what were the oh shit moments in their career which made them shift towards something else and actually made some big progress. And one of the things that I was thinking about was that we all need to find our unique voice. And so today's episode is going to be all about that, about finding your unique voice in photography or videography or whatever may be your creative endeavor.
Yeah, I love that you said photography and creative industry because I really think that this lesson is not applicable only to photographers, but to anyone and any business, whether it's creative business or not. I think it's going to be such an important lesson for anyone watching. And I know there are so many people who are not photographers who are also following our work and they find it inspirational.
The key problem that we're going to be tackling today is that many wedding photographers struggle with finding a style that will speak to them, but it will also attract high value clients. Because I believe that there are many photographers who would find the style that speaks to them and that they enjoy, but that just doesn't fit the market in the right way. And then they might feel like they have to sell themselves to the market and do something that they don't really enjoy in order to become more successful, which I don't believe is the case. I believe that you can be successful and you can also do something you love and you enjoy. And I think we are a living proof of that. So in today's video, I would love to share how we came up with that. We formulated the way to create something like this. So for anyone watching this, I hope that you guys will stay until the end of this video, and I'm sure that will be helping you to navigate through the creative fog of building the business and finding your own unique style, which will also bring you a lot of success. So in this video, we'll be also defining something that I call the Creative Bermuda Triangle, and we're going to talk about how to avoid that.
It's a concept that you have actually developed.
Well, yeah.
I remember when you came to me and you were like, oh my God, Sharon, look at this. Now, when I put it in a triangle, it makes sense. And then you started defining it even more. And I think it's so important. And everyone who, like, we presented this concept many times in our academy and to many other photographers on the conferences, and they all, I think it's eye-opening and it could be life-changing. So I'm excited that we're going to present it today for the first time to broader audience and anyone who's watching.
However, they will have to stay until the end of the video in order to hear about it, because we have an introduction story of how we actually came up with all of that. And I think the story will actually make all of that make sense for the concept. Because if I just teach the concept, I'm not sure that everybody would find the actual way to use it in their own lives and in their own careers. So before we get into that, I just wanted to also mention that you will be telling us more about the smart ways of doing your own creative direction in your business, on how, well, you tell me, what are you going to be telling us?
I'm going to talk about how to stay current with trends through smart art direction. And that is something that we have been doing for such a long time. But there was a point in our career when we thought, okay, we have to be smart about decisions that we are doing, and we have to create concepts that we can follow, not just to do anything that comes up to our mind and just to do just to photograph how we feel. So that's when we came up to this idea that we should approach wedding photography just as we approached every single project that was not wedding photography, but was actually product photography or doing photos for some brands, big campaigns, and things like that, where we always had concept that was presented before we did the photo shoot. And we live in a world where trends come and go. It's changing so fast. Big brands are following what's going on. When you look at any fashion brand today and 5 years ago, you will see the difference. It's obvious and clear that they are changing their brand direction and creative direction throughout the years. And they all pretty much follow the same trend. There's just variations of that trend when we look for example, Dior, Chanel. Like, we know what's trendy this season and what was the trend last season. So we started doing that as wedding photographers as well. But at the same time, we always wanted to keep what's true to us and to spice it up with a trend.
So would you say that there's a single trend that all wedding photographers should follow? How do you see that?
No, I think that trends are, as I said, just the spice to your unique style. And there are many photographers who are avoiding to follow the trend or what's going on in the industry right
It feels
now.
wrong. It feels like, I'm being a part of this big picture. I want to be unique. I want to be different, right?
Yes, but then if you're not following the trend, you might end up not having enough inquiries, or because our couples are not the same couples. For example, now Gen Z is getting married, and we have to understand who is our client. We have to know what they like, what they are aiming for to achieve with the wedding photography. So I think trends are good. I like trends, but we have to be very mindful how we are going to approach to them. And talking about that, every year before we start the new season, I create a mood board to present you and to our team the way that we are going to approach the season that we are in. So creatively, yes. So before every year, I create a mood board with all the visuals. I follow the trends in general from fashion, movies, TikTok, Instagram. And then I'm like, okay, this is something that people want to see. And let's see how much of that we want to include into our photography. And that's like a guideline that we are following throughout the year, and it changes every year.
And that's exactly, I think, the key word. Trend is a guideline.
Yeah, I like that.
For you and how you're going to tweak your style and adapt it to the modern world, to the modern requirements of the couples, while also staying true to yourself. And I think this is the key. When you look at any brand, any fashion brand, any technology brand, whatever it may be, they're all staying true to themselves in the core. So we have to define and find our core, and we're going to talk about that as well in this video. So we have to define our core, and then we just find that overlaying trend that we're going to be using every year as a topic, as a theme of the year or a couple of years.
Definitely.
We come from a background of fashion photography. So I think we should first start with that, because this is our core. And I think it'll be also very helpful for others who are watching this video to understand how they can find their own core, what they really come from. So we come from the fashion photography background. We shot only fashion for the first 2 or 3 years of our professional career as photographers. Actually, I was taking photos, you were doing the makeup and our direction. So we already worked as a creative team together. Only it was me that was holding the camera during these first couple of years of our career. And then from there, we realized that we wanted to shoot weddings. As we were invited to shoot one wedding, we realized that we can both take photos at a wedding, because there can be multiple photographers, as opposed to fashion campaign where you have the light set and everything for usually for one photographer. So we fell in love with this idea. And I want you to tell this story because I think you will tell it even more interestingly. Just I want you to tell us how we connected, how we transitioned from fashion to weddings, and how this made this underlying layer of our style and our approach to weddings for years to come.
New faces in the modeling agency, that was our first touch point with fashion photography. And from there, very quickly, we started shooting celebrities, campaigns, and just like very big projects. And what people probably don't know is almost up until 3 years, we were doing wedding photography and fashion and commercial photography next to
Simultaneously, yeah.
simultaneously. And at some point, even commercial photography was taking over the wedding photography.
Especially during COVID.
But then after the COVID, we had the wedding boom, and we were prepared with everything that we did up until that point. And that's when our boom happened with Danilo and Sharon Studio as a wedding photography studio. And that's when we decided we're going to go all into wedding photography. But for several years, we were actually, as I said, shooting big campaigns and working with models. And our main focus was always subject who was in front of us. A girl, a boy, a couple, a group of people. So I would say from the very beginning, our focus was on making sure that people look their best. And as we did projects for sports brands, clothing brands, we always wanted clothes also to be in the center of focus all together with model. And when we started doing weddings, that was our approach from the very beginning. So although we loved telling the story of the wedding day, our main focus was always the bride, what she's wearing. And I love fashion, and I think fashion can talk a lot about the time that we live in. So yeah, for us, it was always fashion was speaking to us even on the weddings.
And then at some point, we got lost on the way.
After 3 or 4 years, there was this boom of wedding photography that was storytelling wedding photography. I don't know if people remember Looks Like Film and groups like that. VSCO was very popular
Dirty
with
boots,
editing.
messy hair.
Dirty boots, messy hair. So weddings became kind of messy.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden,
edgy, moody, dark, overly edited.
But the subject the main focus wasn't on the couple, but on the environment.
True.
People were climbing mountains just to have the better view. And I remember like the smallest part of the image was the couple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we were like, okay, so what do we do now?
This whole approach started in the Pacific Northwest. And people there who lived there, Seattle, Portland, they were super lucky with these incredible landscapes. So at this time, I'm talking about 2014, 15, 16, all of the portfolios of wedding photographers, successful wedding photographers, would be made of photos in Yosemite National Parks, or maybe in Iceland, or maybe in Scottish Highlands, or places like these. And us, still working in Serbia and still serving mostly local clients here in Serbia, with only a handful of clients throughout Europe, who also got married either in cities or in places like these, where we didn't have the access to these kind of backdrops. I feel like we got lost in that because we didn't understand. Because first of all, I think we made two mistakes there. First mistake was that we were looking for inspiration within other wedding photographers' work. And secondly, we forgot about our underlying layer of what we believe in and what we like. So we really tried to adapt our style to completely, even to forget about our fashion background and to try to capture weddings in a way that most wedding photographers were doing at the time. And this got us really stuck.
But at some point, we were very successful with it. I don't know if you remember, because we didn't have the landscapes, such landscapes as mountains and amazing nature. So we used the opportunity to use the rooftops of the Belgrade, which became like a trend in Europe. So people started more and more using rooftops for photo shoots.
If they didn't have mountains,
If they
climbed
didn't have
rooftops.
mountains, yeah.
True.
But then,
But I will just add something else to that. We felt successful, but this is a big
yes,
lesson that we
because
learned
other
there.
photographers were praising us for that.
Exactly. So we
That's
felt
true.
successful, but our business was far from successful. So we got a lot of praise. We got awards for, best wedding photographer in Europe, best young wedding photographer, this and that, rangefinder 30 rising stars, etc., etc., etc. While we were getting mostly awarded, our business was suffering. It wasn't really working so well. We were barely paying our bills. So one day, and this is the pivotal story in our career, I think. One day, I remember we just got our first child. It was 2016. He was maybe 6 months old. I was putting him to sleep, and I received a phone call. So I picked up, and it was our dear friend and photographer, who called us, and he said that he referred us to a bride. This bride was having a wedding in Paris. She was planning a wedding in Paris, and she inquired with him. He said that he was unfortunately busy or booked already for the date, so he referred us. And she refused the referral because she told him that she felt like our photos weren't that good. Actually, she used a specific term that kind of rang in my head for years after that. I think even now I feel like I can still feel the emotional unease when I hear that. She said that our photos were technically unacceptable. And I pushed back on that. I told him, well, like, she's a bride. I mean, she's probably not a professional photographer. How can she say whether our photos are technically acceptable or unacceptable? To which he replied that she works at Adobe, one of the biggest companies for products for photographers for editing and photo editing and photo processing. And she works at Adobe working on developing products for editing. And that really hit hard. So we really understood. We received a true, honest feedback from a client whose wedding we just missed and whose wedding probably would add a lot of value to our portfolio at the time. And she said that she felt like our photos were off. So all of the praise that we received from the photographers who weren't our clients, who were just feeding our ego, whose words were, I'm sure, honest, but at the same time absolutely unhelpful for us to grow our brand, it just put like a big black, big black dot on all of that. And just from there, we realized that we had to make a big change in our approach. And from there,
we made a change literally tomorrow. We sat down and we prepared mood board based on the clients that we want to attract now. We created new website, new logo, everything. I remember it was 1 week of like us fully working on our brand. And since then, it became a standard that we do every year before we start the season. And that's when our direction became one of the most important things for our brand and our business. Because it was clear to us that we can't just follow what we want to do or what other photographers think that we should do. We should consider many different things and put it all together, mix it up, and have the perfect product.
When we were thinking about that, of course, it wasn't that we immediately realized, that this is the idea, this is the formula, this is how it's done. It took us years.
But we did take an action immediately. And I think it's one of the positive things that we always do, if we see the or feel the need for change, we would change things immediately.
Exactly.
We are not going to wait for some circumstances or things like that. We change immediately.
Exactly. And even if and during this change, you will actually find your way.
Of
This is what
course.
I learned. It's not that you will make a change and immediately you will make it perfect. The first iteration of our rebrand at the time is far away from what we are right now, what our brand looks like right now. But it was a big step forward and away from what wasn't working for us. So when I was analyzing and when I was thinking about what we did there, how we realized and how can we help other photographers understand what they might need to do if they feel stuck in their careers, if they feel like they're better photographers than they are successful at the business, I came up with this concept of something that I called the Creative Bermuda Triangle. And we all know what Bermuda Triangle is. It's the place where the airplanes fly over and then somehow they lose connection with the tower or they just quietly disappear. So we don't want our businesses to lose connection with the tower or to quietly disappear, right? So how do we avoid the Bermuda Triangle, the Creative Bermuda Triangle? I feel like every business is made out of three pillars. Three key components in every small business are the mindset of the owner, the entrepreneurship or how he runs the business, and the product. So it looks like this. So we have the mind or the mindset of the owner, the entrepreneurship in the business, and the product. And most of us as photographers, and this is the mistake that we did ourselves, was that we started from our product. So we started building our business from photography. This is the kind of photography, this is the style of photography that we want to do. And then from there, we tried to build our business. So we had let's say at the time we wanted to do dark and moody, overly edited photos with washed out shadows and toned down highlights that were gray. And then with this kind of product, we were trying to build our business that would support our family, that would support our growth, etc., etc. And then from there, what we did was we developed a mindset. And this mindset that we developed was that it's hard to live from this business. It's, most photographers...
There's a ceiling on how much we can charge, and
most photographers don't make a good living anyway. The clients aren't right. People don't understand art, etc., etc., etc. So what happens, and what I realized at that time that we did right, and that I believe that anyone else who wants to learn a different way, a different approach can do right, is that instead of taking this way, going from the product, trying to build a business around it, and then building a mindset that says whatever is the result of the failed business, we go the other way around. We start from the mindset, and then we build a business from it. So let's say we just got our child. We want to support our child. We want to be able to give him a good education. We want to drive a nice car. We want to have a nice place to live. We want to go on holidays. We want to do this or that. So this is the mindset that we start with. We start with the idea of the lifestyle that we want to live. We want to be fulfilled. We want our clients to appreciate us. We want to travel for work. We want to take amazing photos. We want to go to those places. We want gear to be always accessible to us, any gear that we want to use. All these things can be a part of your mind, a part of your mindset, and what you want to do in your life. And then from there, you start calculating on what is the business that I need in order to support this mindset, to support this lifestyle. And you will usually come to the number that is far away from where you are at the moment. And then from there, only from there, we start thinking about our product. So we start with the mindset, we build a business, or we design the business, we design the business idea around the mindset that we have, around the lifestyle goals that we have. And then from there, we define the product, the style of photography that will be needed or wanted on the market that people will be willing to pay as much as we need to be paid in order to live this kind of a life.
Can you explain it on our example? What we did exactly?
So at this specific time, when I got this call, when we did a complete rebrand, what we realized was that the key, or like the goal that we had with photography, was to express ourselves creatively and to experiment.
And to earn from that.
And then we also expected people to pay us for our experiments, only to realize that people weren't ready to pay us that much for us to experiment and play with whatever we wanted on their wedding. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm not saying that some people haven't succeeded going this way. But what I'm saying is that it's a big risk, and it probably takes a much longer time than it would if you just would follow the formula that I came up with. So what we did was we started thinking, or we started looking at other photographers who were more successful than us, who charged way more than us. And we tried to find the pattern with what they did and what attracted high-paying clients to them. We found out that most high-paying clients want to look great in their photos, that they want their attires to be seen in all their photos, that they want all of their wedding design and everything that they've created and invested so much energy and time and creativity, they want it to be presented.
Even better than it looks in real life.
Exactly. I will give you an example of how we took photos. So I really felt like it was really cool to take photos of the couple up until here, and then the rest would be something like a blank space. Because artistically speaking, blank space makes very interesting graphic approach to photography, to whatever it may be. But if a bride is wearing a beautiful custom Dior dress, and I take a photo of her, and we can see only her dress from here to above and nothing below her waist, it's hardly going to happen that she's going to be happy about these photos. So we realized that we can't really play with whatever we want and however we want and expect people to accept that as it is. So we started putting some sort of boundaries on how we're going to approach the work, and we set some clear goals and clear expectations from us, and also that we could deliver them on the things that we could deliver to the client. So we could make sure that we will surely deliver amazing photos of the client, that they will look great in photos, that the whole story of the wedding will be told in a way that anyone can interpret it, that the colors will be right, that the skin tones will be right, that
the experience,
and then we added on top of that the experience of working with us will be amazing, that they will feel confident, that they will feel safe in front of the camera, taking into consideration that surely this is one of the first times that they have stepped in front of a professional photographer. So we have to take all of that into consideration as well, making sure that they feel guided, that they don't feel lost, that we don't just show up with the camera and say, well, you just be yourselves and we're just going to try to take some, weird photos and, kneel down and squat and do this and that. Like, we had to make sure that the experience and the product of working with us is on par with the rest of the experiences that these clients had in any other aspects of their lives. So we look back to our fashion photography background, we realized that these were all the things that we already knew how to do from fashion photography, that we liked doing these things in fashion photography. So why the hell did we stop doing these things in weddings? Why did we fall under the impression that in weddings we should do something else, something that all the other photographers are doing and that all other photographers are going to praise us for doing because we are a part of the community of the photographers who are praising each other? I'm not saying that this is toxic in any way. I'm just saying that depending on your goals, depending on your mindset, if your mindset is saying, I want to be a key player in the wedding photographers community and I want to be praised by the rest of the photographers, then probably you will not be so crazy about building the business or adjusting your product to the market. But we had different goals. And I believe many other photographers in the industry have different goals. So that's why I want to share this story and I want to share this lesson that impacted highly the quality of our life. And after all, the quality of our photography as well. Because I believe that our photos right now are not just better, but also are more creative. And I feel more creative creating these photos because I have the set rules, set boundaries. And then within these boundaries, I have to create something that's going to really be interesting, creative, beautiful, artistic, and so on. But there's this one misconception that I believe that many photographers come to when they hear me talking about this. They feel like that your product might need to be something that is just vague or boring, something that's just going to be that someone else could take a photo of a bride with their phone or something like that. So I'm definitely not saying that. I'm saying that there is this beautiful space in which you can do what you like, what you're good at, and what people will pay for. So there will be these, let's say, 3 circles, my drawing. So this is what you're good at. This is what you love. Well, nice heart. And then this is what people will pay for. And here, this is your product. This is where you want to be. This is what you want to create. So if you open your mind to thinking not only about what you love or what you're good at, but also about what people are going to pay for, you're going to narrow down what kind of photos you will be taking and what kind of photos you will be showcasing in your portfolio in order to get ready to build your business to be the best version of it.
I love that explanation so much. Every time you present it, I'm just reminding myself how important it is. But also, there's one thing. It's not easy to do that. You have to be really honest with yourself. And I remember us back then, as you said, that feeling inside us when we were like, oh my God, we have to change something. And changing is usually the hardest part. But when you know that there's this sweet spot that you can actually do what you love, that you can actually be inspired and do the kind of photography that you like, and also get paid for it, it's much easier when you know that. And when you've already experienced it, then you're like, okay, I know that it's possible. But when there's an ego and you have to change yourself, your ego is gonna go like, no, you don't want to change. I don't want to change. I don't want to become someone else. But you're actually becoming a better version of yourself. So it's gonna require a lot of work on yourself, a lot of mind work. Not the photo, not the. You don't have to change your photography first. You have to change your mindset, and you have to be really honest. That's the hardest part, I think. Admitting to yourself, I'm not paid enough. This is not the life that I want to live. I want to have better. I want to go on a better vacation. I want my kids to go in a private school or things like that. Being honest with yourself is the hardest part. But when you do that, and if you are honest, the life will reward you with the things that are like beyond your imagination.
I agree 100%. And I think if we look back, just to piggyback on what you just said, if we look back on this and you understand that we are starting from our mind, building a business around it, and then defining the product that will feed our business and will give back to our mind, you realize that the most important, number one thing that we have to work on is our mind, is our mindset. So it's not about being a better photographer. We are becoming better photographers from here, not from here. If we just go out and take more photos, we're not going to just become, we're going to be technically maybe better photographers, but this is something that comes as non-negotiable. Like you have to be a great photographer, technically great photographer. But how you actually become great, how you actually become someone who's courageous, someone who designs better ideas, someone who comes up with something that will attract more attention, something that will put a sort of a stamp on the industry and will define an industry in a way, it all comes from the mind. So as you said, I mean, absolutely, it's not an easy work to do.
You have to dig really deep into yourself to realize what's that thing that you want from your life, and then to start from there, because we are so blessed that photography can actually bring anything that we want in our life today. It's like, and especially today when we are talking about wedding photography, we started almost 15 years ago. It was completely different thing than what it is today. It was on the lowest of the lowest point in photography in general. Like wedding photographers were like, "Well, you're a wedding
Yeah.
photographer.
If
You're
you're
not even
unsuccessful, if
photographer."
you're unsuccessful in any other photography, you become a wedding
And
photographer. It used to be like
today,
that.
I think it's one of the, it's like on top of the photography pyramid, and it completely changed. So we are blessed to live in such time where you can be a photographer and live a beautiful and successful life.
And you don't have to compromise on creativity and art and joy of creating,
As long
as long as you follow some sort of guidelines, some sort of your idea of where you're going, and setting a course and going in the
and I
right
love
direction.
what you said, like you don't have to follow any rules, but it's probably going to take you longer to achieve what you would achieve if you just put some boundaries around yourself. And I think it's the same in life with anything that you do. If you want to have good results in the gym, there are the rules that you have to follow. You can go to the gym and you're like, I want to do my arms, and you just do arms for like 3 months, and then you realize, oh
And
my
hope
god,
you have a six pack.
the core is not there, and
Yeah.
I don't have the six packs, and I'm actually looking crazy right now because I just have pumped arms. So we all follow some rules, and rules are actually great.
I agree.
It took
And
me years to realize that, that I was always against rules.
well, this is the point of this YouTube channel. My point of this YouTube channel is to, by sharing stuff like this, by sharing the stuff that it took me years, like 15 years, to realize and understand and put together in formulas, and something that can be replicated now indefinitely to other photographers' lives and careers, to help others collapse the time in which they will be able to achieve success. So if it took me 10, 15 years to understand this and to put this into practice, I believe that someone watching this video maybe in second or third or fourth year of their career will understand this, and then within already 2 or 3 years will completely change the course and the success of their business. So that's my ultimate goal with this. That's why I want to share these ideas and these things. And I think we can wrap it right there. I
Definitely.
would just like to invite everybody who's watching this video that I just want to invite you to like this video, because this way you will show us that you enjoyed it, appreciated it, liked it. If you think someone else would be, this video would be valuable to someone else, feel free to share it with them. And finally, if you want to hear more from us, if you want to follow us on this journey, on sharing our knowledge and helping you on your own journey, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye, guys.